Good morning. Welcome to Municipality of Tweed Committee of Adjustment and Planning Committee meeting. Today is March 27, 2006. The first order of business will call to order and the land acknowledgement. The Municipality of Tweed recognizes that our work takes place on traditional Indigenous territories, including the Huron-Wendat, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee people. We recognize and respect the history, languages, and cultures of the First Nations, the Métis, the Inuit, and all Indigenous peoples whose presence continues to enrich our communities. Do the roll call. We'll start with the staff.
Lucas Wales, Deputy Clerk, Zoning Administrator.
Laurie Crowland, Clerk.
Peter Valiquette, Municipality of Tweed.
Phyllis Savoy.
Jack Robinson.
And Jim Pedersen is not in attendance. Okay, first order of business for the committee will be the approval of the agenda as distributed. We have a mover and a seconder of the agenda, moved by Jack, seconded by Peter. All those in favor? The agenda has been set. A disclosure of pecuniary interest for the file attached to the agenda. Are there any from committee members? There are none. Adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting also included in the package, the meeting of February 27th, mover and a seconder. Moved by Peter, seconded by Jack. Errors, omissions, business arising from the minutes, anything? No, all those in favor? Minutes are carried. Okay, the first order of business for the committee will be severance application B10825. Applicants Larry Palmetier, authorized agent Christopher Schott. Location of the property is 1543 Crookston Road. The proposal is that create a new non-farm residential lot from an existing rural parcel of land with approximately 164 meters of frontage on Crookston Road and a total area of approximately 18.83 hectares. The proposed new lot would be created on the west side of 1585 Crookston Road and is an irregular shaped lot that would have approximately 74 meters of frontage on Crookston Road and an area of 0.42 hectares. The proposed retained lot would have approximately 90 meters of frontage on Crookston Road, and the area of the retained parcel would be approximately 18.41 hectares. Motion to put the application forward for discussion, recommendation, moved by Jack, seconded by Peter. Comments, questions from the applicants they're not zooming in or? No, okay. Nothing from neighbors? Okay, questions, comments from committee members?
I think everything's covered.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Peter, did you have anything?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Lucas, anything?
Nothing to add.
Nothing? Okay, so the motion then would be that all realty taxes are paid in full. Parkland fee is paid in the amount of $750 for the new lot. Municipal severance fee is paid in the amount of $500. Road widening as required along the severed lot to conform to 33 feet from the center line of the traveled roadway being Crookston Road. Public Works Manager is satisfied with safe site entrance on the severed lot with roadside ditching and drainage and the rezoning of the severed parcel to rural residential. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion goes forward to council at the next meeting, which is
April 7th.
April 7th. Okay. All right, that concludes. We have one application. Other items for consideration, the Committee of Adjustment front yard accessory structures and that report was included in the package. It was the discussion that had taken place as staff provided a report. It would be resolved that Committee of Adjustment Planning recommend to council that staff prepare a zoning bylaw amendment to the general provisions of 5.25.2 of the Municipality of Tweed zoning bylaw 2012-30 to permit detached accessory buildings and structures in the front yard of lots within the rural zone, provided such structures comply with the minimum front yard setback applicable to the principal use of the lot. Mover and seconder. Moved by Jack, seconded by Peter. Discussion from committee. No. Yeah, you had a chat. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it's a decent thing to look at, but when you look at the bylaw from our next door neighbor, I mean, there's some pretty common sense things in there that.
Yes.
Apply.
Right. And it's very specific in there about what those buildings are considered, what it means. So when people do come in, this then allows the staff to be able to explain it in black and white as here's where it is, because as we know, things are changing and accessory buildings now come in all different shapes, forms, and so we then won't have to debate what it actually needs. And it cleans it up in as far as trying to sort them out. Peter,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Jack.
I think, this is a hard thing because every case is different. Like if you're in an urban area where you affect your neighbor, it's different, but out in the country, somebody's got 40 acres and nobody around them. I don't think it hurts to have a building in front of the house, you know, it's only blocking his own view. But you can't, everything's different, so I think it's gotta be looked at and considered at the time.
Okay, Peter?
I was just gonna say, one of the things when I read through this one, and the word temporary is used, you need to define temporary.
I think temporary is, it can blow away or be destroyed by weather or just age. Lucas?
Yeah, through to the chair to Councillor Belkat, I agree. There's times where temporary, what becomes temporary? I think the bylaw could probably be strengthened a little bit, particularly for this specific amendment on accessory buildings. With some sort of time structure tied to it, rather than a physical mechanism of temporary. If that's kind of the intent of what you're looking at.
Yeah, well, I don't know, you talk about black and white coming in and this is the way it is.
Mhm.
When you say temporary, it's very subjective. And if you want to put limits on it, you know, if it's a car shelter, it's there for the winter. But, you know, somebody could have an argument, they're trying to protect the car from the sun. I don't know, but if it's not, I just think we should be able to define that a little bit.
Is there a definition of temporary anywhere in the bylaws?
I believe there is, but it doesn't get into that specific nature to actually define it. We've seen items that have been labeled as temporary and they're still there 15 years later. Temporary being that they're movable, like a car shelter, right? Technically it is a temporary structure, but what is temporary, I guess?
There's nothing in the bylaws with building?
There is a definition of temporary, but it doesn't get into the specifics that Councilor Valiquette is outlining here, like a specific like a time frame, like historically when we looked at garden suites. The nature of those were for 10 years, I believe. It gave a specific framework for how long it could be there. Like our bylaw centered around more, is it movable, can it be taken down, as opposed to a timeline per se.
Okay,
So I think one time there, somebody could put a temporary one there, but they had to put a deposit down. And if they took it out of their own time and the house was built, they got their deposit back, but if they didn't take it out, you kept that deposit to take them to court. And they didn't get their deposit back. That's still in effect.
With the chair, I don't believe so, not in my tenure anyway, but I do know what you're referring to, Jack, and some of those old structures, and there were agreements that they were tied to. I haven't seen any of those actually used in the last decade here. Most of those types of structures are now constructed more permanently.
Yeah.
so in the definitions. Where it starts, this provision shall be exempted, the types of things we're talking about are included there. Right? Just under D for temporary car shelters?
Yeah.
Does that,
Well, that's what I was looking at
right,
specifically.
okay,
I mean, as staff develop it, there may be just a
Right.
natural time frame you want, like. You don't need a temporary shelter for kids going to school when they've moved out and they're married.
right,
Yeah, I don't know how you define some of that stuff, but it's also nice to know that there is an end to it if it's.
if it's necessary, right,
If somebody built a little shed, say 120 square feet, that you didn't need to get a building permit in front of the house. Would that be legal?
Under the recommendation here, if it's in the rural zone, and it meets the front yard setback, it would be a permitted location for the structure,
Okay.
yes.
So I guess that's what we need to remember is that this is specific to front yard lots within the rural zone. So it does narrow it up.
Yes, that's staff's recommendation is just limiting it to the rural zone.
Yes,
Jack had alluded to the complexities of urban areas and even the rural residential zones. Some of those go down to an acre or less than an acre, and we get into a case by case basis. So from a general bylaw sense, it makes functional sense to just leave it with the rural zone
right.
and then continue our case by case minor variance applications
Okay.
for more densely populated
Yeah.
areas.
That makes more sense. And then as needed being, okay. Anything else, Peter?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Jack?
No.
Oh, okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? It's carried, okay. So that will go April 7th, you said, right? That was the-
Yes.
Okay, all right. Staff updates, anything?
Got a few files coming next month. We are working on a site plan control bylaw for commercial industrial. To fill a gap of what we don't have right now. We have one for residential development. Other than that, I don't think I have any other general staff updates at this time. I don't.
Do you have any further information about the amalgamation of conservation authorities, or are we waiting for that?
The province has essentially endorsed it. I don't know, I think Lori actually said.
They did adjust it from 9 to 7, I think. But I don't think that impacted our, I was reading a article on it the other day.
And it's effective 2027, I believe, so we have.
April or something.
We have a year plus of transition time, but it sounds to me like it's not if, it's now when next year. It sounds like April 2027 is the target date.
But we don't know clearly how that will affect what we're doing.
No, I think that's fair to say. We don't know what timelines are gonna look like. We don't know who our regulations officers will be locally and how that governance structure is going to work. There's a general idea of how many people will be on the board of directors at the Regional Conservation Authority, but there's no details yet. It's all just very high level
Okay.
conceptual. They need to figure that out over the
Right.
next year. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that covers the next meeting, Jack? Anything?
Well, the Quinny Conservation, I think any severance or something that's 150 meters. Yeah. They shouldn't even be involved. They're deal with the watershed. And they don't come easy, like they have to come out and take a look, it's $900 and.
Yes,
Put
and that's the
septic
thing.
system in and they okay it, but it's another $100. But I think they got too much authority.
I don't think there's a
Right.
disagreement.
But I would agree with the municipality, the township was charged twice, and me personally. Then they always dropped it, but we tried to get rid of them, but you can't.
And there hasn't even been a hint if they're going to be changing any of that stuff other than the blab before the election.
Right, yeah, we don't have any
Yeah, okay.
details on that yet.
Oh, we'll have to keep an eye on it for sure, because it does impact us. Huge. Motion to adjourn, moved by Jack, seconded by Peter, all those in favor, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. 10:15.